All right, welcome. This is CIS300, Computer Technology and Impact. I'm Emmett Gray. I'm going to be your instructor for this course. This is just a very simple slide presentation to kind of go over the concepts, kind of covers the things that are in the syllabus, and basically how to be an online student. So, let's get cranking. So yes, this is an introductory course on computer technology and its impact. There are no prerequisites for the course, so essentially if you have a pulse, you qualify. There's two textbooks. One is required, the one called Enhanced Discovering Computers First Edition. It is a new book, so yes, you will have to have the correct edition. There's another book dealing with Microsoft Office, and I've marked that one as optional. And so really the thing is, I'm going to be using the first book for doing like assignments and stuff, but on the second book I'm not going to be calling out things like, turn to this page. So if you think you can do well, you've been doing Microsoft Office for a while, you probably don't need the book. It is a good book. It's a very simple book, lots of pictures, and so if you're unsure, well then go ahead and get the book. Okay. As a general rule, I don't just cover the material that's in the book. I often cover other types of information, so you'll have to pay attention because some of the stuff is not going to be in the book. Now, this is an 8-week summer semester course, which is 8 weeks long. But you're going to get the same amount of content if this was a 16-week course. So, I almost feel like apologizing, but yeah, this is going to be an awful lot of material in a very short period of time. And we're going to use Blackboard for absolutely everything, since that's how we do things in in online courses. So, what's it take to make this thing work? Well, obviously you need access to a computer. I guess in theory you don't really need a computer of your own. You could go to the library or go to the university's computer lab and borrow one, but for all practical purposes you need a computer. And for the vast majority of these things that we're going to be doing, you need a Windows-based computer. I know. And Windows 7 and above is probably what you want. You need a reliable internet connection because, gee, I lost my internet connection in the middle of taking an exam. Man, that's not good. So this is a 100% online course. You get to see my face, but I don't get to see yours. Okay, let's just continue here. So, yes, we are going to be using Microsoft Office, and the book is specifically about 2010, which is the same version of Office they have installed on the machines there at the university. Now, if you already have a version and you're happy with it, that's okay, as long as it's 2010 and above. If you don't have Office, you can go to the university and they'll probably allow you to make a disk and take it home for free and install Microsoft Office. If you're going to do that, well, you might as well get the latest version. What would be the point of getting, several-year-old version of Microsoft Office? And of course, you have to be somewhat familiar with using a web browser. And I kind of assume that everyone knows how to use a web browser. And we're going to have an entire video talking about how to operate the course inside Blackboard. Okay, let's continue. So, what's this course all about? Well, you're going to learn an awful lot about computer theory and choices and devices and all sorts of stuff. Kind of general knowledge. It gives you a whirlwind tour of everything you ever want to know about information system. Yes, you're going to have to apply some things, and you're going to be creating some Office documents. You're going to be creating a Word document, an Excel document, a PowerPoint document, and an Access database. This course is not designed to make you a computer expert. So just kind of take it slow, do the things. I'm sure you're going to have a blast. You're going to learn a lot of stuff. But don't expect to step out of this course and be able to say, I'm a computer expert now, let me help you with that problem. No, that's not what this is about. This is a familiarization tour and kind of an overview. Okay, so I show this little diagram in a lot of my courses, and it basically just talks about how people learn. In my way of thinking, there's three parts to learning. The skills. Skills are things that are kind of mechanical in nature. You have to do them over and over and over to get good at. We're not going to be doing that many skill-related things. Sure, we'll be doing, bullet lists and stuff, but we're only going to be doing it like once or twice. Hardly enough to be considered skill building. Then you have people who have natural abilities, and you guys know what I'm talking about. There's always going to be some people who are just going to get this, okay? They're going to be better at it, and there's not a dang thing you can do. There's not a dang thing I can do. Those are things that they bring to the table, so to speak. They're the natural talents. Some people have it, some people don't. It's nothing to be ashamed of. We're all different. So we're going to be concentrating on knowledge, because I can't really help you much on skills, and I can't do anything about your abilities. So we're going to be talking about the knowledge, the kinds of things that you won't necessarily discover on your own. So concepts and background information, the kinds of things that you're going to need to make wise choices. Okay. So, which brings me to this whole thing about what versus why. I don't like teaching what to do. Step one, do this. Step two, do that. I want to know why I'm doing step one and step two. And so an awful lot of my lecture is not going to be on the mechanics. It's not going to be on, here are the steps you need to do. It's going to be, here's why you need to perform these steps. And I make this distinction a lot. And a great deal of my test questions are going to be things like, explain why option A is better than option B. And if you just say, well, option A does this and option B does this, you're going to get a 0 for that test question, because I don't want you to define the terms. I want you to explain why one thing versus another. So, what are things that you can look up? You can just Google something, you can go to online help, you can figure that out in a hurry. But why? Why is a little bit more tough. And so that's why we tend to concentrate on that in the lecture and in the test questions, is an awful lot of why. So just be on the lookout, particularly at test time, for a why question. And I've been teaching long enough to know that a third of you will answer a what to a why question. Okay, let's continue. Okay, so what's going to be on the course? Well, there's 2 exams. There's going to be a midterm and a final. They're not comprehensive, so the midterm is the first half of the course, and the final is the second half. We are going to have a review session before the exams. We'll have a video lecture that's going to go over the topics that may appear on the exam and kind of give you a little bit of detail to kind of help you study. Once again, everything is done in Blackboard. There'll be 5 quizzes, and the quizzes are relatively short. Typically takes about 30 minutes to do, although I give you an hour to do it. There'll be 5 assignments, and once again, these are going to be assignments such as, create me a Word document, create me an Excel document, those kinds of things. And in addition to the things that are kind of obvious, tests, quizzes, and homework assignments, I'm also going to grade you on your participation. And in the upcoming videos, we're going to be talking about how you actually mechanically do that inside Blackboard. But we're going to have a journal, and we're going to have discussion forums that I want you to participate in. Okay. So, about a third of your grade comes from the 2 exams. Quizzes makes up almost another third, assignments makes up almost another third, and participation is about 8%. So you can kind of look at that and tell exactly where I put weights on things, so to speak. Here's the schedule of activities. Essentially, 8-week course. Everything starts on Monday, and everything is due at midnight or 11:59 p.m. on Sunday. So all assignments will magically appear on Monday in the wee hours of the morning, and everything is due in the dark of night on the following Sunday. The chapters here are the chapters in the required book. The weird ones like OFF and WD1, those are the chapters that are in the optional book. And once again, I'm going to cover a lot of the material, but it's not going to be, turn to page 42. So I put that in there. If you have the book, great, you can follow along. If not, it's not a problem. What's due, and I'm almost apologizing. This is an 8-week course. If this had been a 6-week course, you would have had a quiz or an assignment due once a week. But since this is an 8-week course, you have a quiz and an assignment due every week. Well, except for I cut you a little bit of break on the midterm and the final. Okay, so let's continue. So in the required textbook, we are going to be covering the first 10 chapters, and like I mentioned, it is kind of the source of all the exams and the quizzes. The optional textbook, we're going to be covering probably about half of the book or less, and that's going to be the source of the assignment. So if you ask yourself, do I really need this book? The answer is, I don't know. It kind of sort of depends. If you've run Office before and kind of sort of familiar with it and you're pretty good at just taking notes, maybe not. For the vast majority of you, yeah, what the heck. I mean, yeah, the book is a little expensive. It's like 150 or 60 bucks. But you might get a used one, and hey, it's a good reference book, so you could use it long after the course. Okay, so quizzes and exams. Obviously, a midterm and a final. Since it's going to be done at home, right? This is a complete 100% online course, so it's obviously open book. There'll be 40 questions. Some of them will be simple, true, false, multiple choice, but the questions I really like are the short answer, where you explain why, this and this and this. And the other one that I kind of sort of like is the one of, which of the following is true of whatever? And then I'll list, boom, 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 5 or 6 things that you can go through and say yes, no, no, yes, no, 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 yes. As I mentioned before, we are going to do an entire review session prior to the exams. So I'll give you, I'm trying my best to help you in your studying. The take-home quizzes, again, they're obviously open book, 20 questions, and there is a 5% penalty per day if you don't get stuff in on time. Okay, so don't be late. All right. When you're reading an assignment, pay attention to the details, because a lot of times I'll say, build me a document that has these 3 things, and somebody will turn in a document that's got 2 of the things. And I say, no. Go back and read the assignment. I said I wanted 3 things, not 2. So reading comprehension is a big deal. We may or may not have multiple files, and if so, I'll demonstrate how I want them zipped together. I have a file naming convention that I want you to follow when you submit homework assignments. And once again, an upcoming video will demonstrate this in a little bit more detail. But essentially, it's in 3 parts. It's the course, CIS300, a space. The assignment, whatever that is, assignment 2, 3, 4, a space. Your last name, dot. Your first name, dot, and whatever the heck the file name extension is. In this case, it's a Word document. And clearly, we're going to be submitting everything through the assignment system in Blackboard. And I will tell you that what I typically do is I allow you to submit them multiple times. So I will look at your document, grade it, mark it up, send it back to you, and say, I recommend you make the following changes and resubmit. So yeah, you get to look at my notes and you get to resubmit. Since the whole point of this is learning, right? That's why you're taking this course, is to learn stuff. So it's not just pass-fail. It's not just, aha, I caught you. No, it's more of, let me help you learn how to do this a little better. And once again, I mentioned that there's a 5% penalty per day. And I don't like group assignments. A lot of people I know don't like group assignments. And so all the assignments are going to be individual just to you. Okay, this is a good place to stop for the 15-minute mark. We'll pick this up again in just a few.